If you're looking for an affordable and an efficient way to upgrade the intake system on your 2012 to 2021 5.7 liter Tundra, this rough country cold air intake will be a good mod to take a look at. Now, if you've added some heavier mods to your truck and noticed a lack in fuel economy or throttle response, this cold air intake will allow the engine to breathe a little bit better and help when it comes to adding some of that performance back that you may have lost. It will also be a great option if you're tired of replacing your factory filter and want a filter that's not only higher quality, but you can reuse for the lifetime of your truck. I do want to call out that this style of intake is not going to be as protective as your factory airbox with the open heat shield design, so I would recommend this more for somebody who's mainly avoiding any mud or excessive mud and water if they are taking their Tundra off-road. Now, this intake is going to feature a straight-through style intake tube to relieve a lot of that restriction, increasing the airflow for better fuel efficiency and performance that can usually be felt in the throttle response while not requiring a tune at all. This will also feature a reusable filter, like I mentioned before, to cut down on maintenance while creating a cleaner and more efficient flow of air getting to the motor. Now, in addition to the function, this will also just elevate the styling underneath the hood compared to the boring factory plastics with the red filter here and the textured black appearance. And of course, that heat shield design that's going to allow you to see the filter for a sporty appearance. Now, getting into the construction of each of the components here, the heat shield will be made of a durable alloy that will seal to the hood with this seal here that's going to keep any hot engine bay air from getting to the filter. Now, the intake tube is also going to have an aluminum build to reduce any heat buildup while boasting a tough black powder coat on top for a stealthy look and additional protection to the aluminum underneath. Now, the filter will also be a high-flow multi-layer media that will be 100% cleanable, like I mentioned before, and the rest of the kit will come with all the hardware, clamps, and fittings that you need for a straightforward install. Now, this will be roughly $200 and is a very affordable solution in comparison to some other options available on the page. Now, this will be super straightforward when it comes to the build, and I think that's what really shines here because you're gonna save a couple of bucks while getting a very functional mod that's going to look good and is also going to be, again, reusable, so you're not having to do any extra maintenance that may cost you a little bit more money. So overall, I think for the $200 that this system is definitely worth it. Now, install is going to be, again, straightforward at a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour to get the job done with some basic hand tools. At this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown of the install process and step-by-step how to get this onto your Tundra at home. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, an extension, 8 and 10 millimeter sockets, a 10 millimeter wrench, 2.5 and 4 millimeter Allen wrenches, and a Phillips head screwdriver.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be installing a new intake on our Tundra, but before we get started, we're going to send you to watch a short video on how to uninstall your factory intake, and we'll see you when you get back.
Step number 1, guys, of course, pop your hood. We're going to pop our engine cover off. Just lift straight up and set it aside. Next step, let's disconnect our factory sensor here. You're just going to pinch and disconnect that factory harness. Now, as you can see, there is a retainer clip here, so we're going to pop that guy off. If you need to, you can grab a panel tool, so let's do that. All right, with a panel removal tool, we'll be able to easily pop that guy off. Next, let's disconnect our 2 hoses here. We have one with a hose clamp and one smaller one. Now, what you want to do for these hoses is pinch this hose clamp, and we're going to shuffle it back and off of that fitting, and then pull the hose straight back. For this little guy, we're just going to pull straight off, just like that. Next, let's loosen up the clamp on our throttle body, connecting it to the tubing. Grab a 10 socket and loosen that guy up. Next, we have 2 10 millimeter bolts holding on our factory heat shield to the engine bay. We have one 10 right down here, and then on the opposite corner of the intake, which you can't see from here. We'll get that off in a second. Let's start here with this one. I'm gonna use a longer extension on my impact and get the 10 off. All right, now you don't have to pull it all the way off because obviously you can see it has this retainer washer. You just wanna make sure it's loose, and then repeat that for the other one on the other corner. Opposite corner, same thing. Next, you're just going to pop the entire factory intake off, starting at the throttle body, and then feed that guy out.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Now that we've shown you how to remove your factory setup, there's a few things we're going to have to do before we're ready to go onto the truck with our new intake. So first of which is going to be to remove the mass airflow sensor from our factory air tube and swap it over to the new intake. So for that, we're going to grab a Phillips head screwdriver and just go ahead and run this bad boy out. Go ahead and remove our 2 Phillips head screws here and make sure you don't lose those, it's very important. And then we will carefully remove our mass airflow sensor. Set that aside. So now we've got our MAF sensor out, we've got our new intake tube here. We're gonna go ahead and set this into place. Again, very gently, you don't want to damage your sensor at all. And then we're gonna fasten this down using our provided 2.5 millimeter Allen head screws. And we'll run these in with our 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. You just want to snug it down really good. Next, we can go ahead and install our fittings into our bungs here for our vacuum and various lines that went into our factory intake tube. So we'll start with our 1/2 inch one here and get that threaded down. Nice and snug. And the same thing for our 1/8 inch barb fitting here. Now these are plastic barb fittings, so realistically hand tight would do, but if you choose to put a wrench on it, you can. Just remember, these are very delicate, so just give them a good snug and that's it. Don't go crazy with them. Next, we can go ahead and grab our heat shield and our adapter for our air filter. And we'll go ahead and get that in place. Then we're going to use 2 of our 4 millimeter Allen head screws, a lock washer and a flat washer for each one. And we'll go ahead and get our adapter installed here. That first one run on. Second one on. We'll go ahead and get these tightened down with our 4 millimeter Allen wrench. And you want to try to keep this as centered as possible. Next, we can go ahead and install our seal onto our heat shield. And to do that, we're going to locate the edges of our seal into the groove here. I'm just going to work it around. You want to press it down into place. That has a nice solid seal. Some of these corners and things can feel a little bit tricky, but just be patient, work them in, and it should be just fine. And once you reach your final spot, you may find that you have a little bit of overhang. You can trim it off if you use a pair of angle cutters or something like that. But for demonstration purposes, we're going to go ahead and leave ours like that, as it doesn't affect anything as far as install. So once you make sure everything is good and seated, we can move on. So next we're going to install our flex tube onto the outer portion of our intake adapter here. So we'll slide our clamp into place, and then we'll get our boot over the tube here. Then we can tighten that down using our 8mm socket on our ratchet. Next, we can go ahead and install one of our brackets. And we're going to start with that by grabbing 2 of our supplied 10mm by 20mm bolts, lock washer and flat washer for each bolt. Go ahead and get those lined up right here. And then we're going to add this spacer here to the other side of our bolt. And just like that, we're going to hang our bracket. Do the same thing for our bottom one here. Get that in place. Then we can go ahead and install a flat washer and 10mm lock nut on the other side. And we'll do the same for the bottom one here. Then we can go ahead and tighten these down using our 10mm socket on our ratchet and a 10mm wrench. We want to make sure this stays pretty straight. Now we can install our next bracket, which is this arched one here, and that's going to go on the inside of the heat shield. So first we'll grab another one of our 10mm bolts, lock washer and flat washer. Go ahead and stick that into this opening right here. Then we're going to go ahead and install another spacer, followed by our bracket, followed by another flat washer, and then finally another one of our 10mm lock nuts. Then we'll go ahead and tighten that down using our 10mm wrench and our 10mm socket on our ratchet. Now we can install our last bracket, which again goes on the outside. So one last 10mm bolt, lock washer, and flat washer. This one's going to go through to the outside. And then one more spacer. Then our bracket's going to face up this way here. Go ahead and get another flat washer in here. Followed by another 10mm lock nut. We can hold this in place and grab our lock nut with our 10mm wrench. And we'll go ahead and tighten this down using, again, our 10mm socket and our 10mm wrench. So now we're getting ready to mount everything up in our engine bay, and first we're going to have to remove this 10mm bolt here that is holding our ground wire in place. So we'll go ahead and use our 10mm socket and extension on our impact to run this out real quick. Pull that out. Then we will also need to remove our horn mounting bracket bolt as well, which is also a 10mm. Now that we've got those out, we can go ahead and set our heat shield into place. Line up all our bolt holes. You notice we left our ground wire right where it was. So we'll get our ground wire bolt back in place, reusing our 10mm bolt here. Run that in a few threads just for now. And then we can go ahead and get our horn mounting bracket bolt back into place through our new bracket as well. Next, we'll come down here to our forward factory mounting location for our airbox, and using a provided 10mm bolt and flat washer, we'll go ahead and bolt down our front bracket here. Get that in. And then using another provided bolt, we'll go ahead and remount the rear mounting bracket bolt. Now this one is admittedly kind of hard to get to, but it goes right back into where you remove the bolt for your horn mounting bracket. So we got that one back in, now we can tighten them all down. Now we can go ahead and tighten these down using our 10mm socket and extension on our impact.
Now we can go ahead and tighten this one down. Then we'll tighten down our front one. Next, we can go ahead and get our air filter installed. So we'll slide our clamp over it, line our filter up with our adapter. Go ahead and fully seat that. Now we'll use our Phillips head screwdriver to go ahead and tighten down our clamp. Make sure it's nice and secure. So now we're ready to get our intake tube and our other boot in place. And you've noticed I've taken my mass airflow sensor connector and laid it forward here. So it'll come under our intake tube because our connector is going to be facing down and to the front. So then after that, we'll go ahead and slide our 4-inch clamp on our boot here on our filter side. It's a little snug, but get that in place. Then we're going to grab our throttle body side of our boot. Go ahead and stick our other clamp here. And make sure they're facing where you can access them to tighten them down once we get it installed. And I like to slide the boot onto the intake tube. Push it all the way forward. And we're going to go ahead and get our tube into our filter side here. So you notice we went and removed the boot from our intake filter side and put it on our intake tube as well as our throttle body. You notice some struggle for fitment on this, so we found it best to just go ahead and have the boots on the intake tube. And we're going to go ahead and work our intake side on first. Get that fully seated. Then we'll come down to our throttle body side. And work that over our throttle body. You want to make sure you don't pinch your boot. You're trying to get it to slip over. Just work your edges around. And now that we have that fully seated, we can go ahead and install the rest of our lines and our connectors and tighten down our clamps. Now we can go ahead and reconnect our mass airflow sensor connector. Just plug that right back in. And we'll orient our intake tube. Next, we can go ahead and install our 1/8 inch vacuum line onto our barb fitting here. That's seated on there. Next, we can install our PCV extension line. So we'll grab our union fitting here, slide it onto our extension. And we'll go ahead and insert that into our factory PCV line here. We'll slide our clamp into place. Now these are barb fittings and a PCV line, so it's not high pressure, so you won't need an extra clamp. We'll go ahead and install our extension hose onto our 1/2 inch barb fitting here. Lock that into place. Next, we can tighten down our clamps using our 8mm socket on our ratchet. Now we can remove our front beauty cover locator dowel using our 10mm wrench. We'll go ahead and pop that loose. Spin that out. And we can go ahead and install our provided spacer stud. That all the way in, followed by our extension nut. That all the way on. Then we'll reinstall our factory dowel top here. And since these all spin the same direction, we can use our 10mm wrench to just go ahead and tighten that back down. And this is just for a beauty cover, so it doesn't need to be anything crazy. And lastly, we can go ahead and reinstall our beauty cover. We'll get it in position with our rear locators here. And we'll set it back down into place. Make sure it's seated. And now it has the clearance for the new intake tube. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our Rough Country cold air intake for your 12 to 21 5.7 liter Tundra. Thank you for watching, and as always, for everything Tundra, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.